Welcome, I'm the Conspiracy Man. While we are being distracted by a royal wedding and baby, let's have a look at what these toffee-nosed one-percenters are plotting behind the scenes. Sure, everybody knows the British royal family are secretly lizard people, but are they not even British? Are the royals just Eurotrash clothed in a Union Jack? This Europeanism may become a big issue when it comes to the finalisation of Brexit. Can we really trust the monarchy to allow Britain to leave the European Union, as was decided in a free democratic election? When it comes to commenting on political matters, the Queen is keen to stay out of them, preferring to not even touch them with a 10-foot barge pole, which is incidentally how she feels about people from Northern England. But privately, the Queen is thought to be pro-Brexit. Charles, on the other hand, is a bit less discreet, having inherited some of his father's foot-in-mouth disease. What are the secrets of these hunting-loving, cousin-marrying folks? The British royal family have more European DNA in them than an Amsterdam sex worker. Before more modern times, they married overseas royals and aristocrats. People of better breeding than you and I. Prince Philip's a Greek, although he does have English ancestry. His great-grandma was Queen Victoria, as was Elizabeth's. Queen Victoria herself was married to Prince Albert, a German, who was her first cousin. Going back centuries, very often the king was married to someone from the continent, be they French, German, Dutch, or from anywhere else on the continent. A corollary of this meant that many European monarchs ended up in the line of succession to the English throne and occasionally took over, as with the Dutch King William III or the German George I. Not even mentioning the fact that the early Norman kings of England were essentially French. Famous King Richard the Lionheart spoke French and not English. While the Anglo-Saxons themselves were a bunch of Europeans, it seems the French Normans really wanted to disown the Anglo-Saxon and Celtic past of England as a way of legitimizing the regime change of 1066. The royal preoccupation with all things European can be seen in the names of the monarchs of England after the Norman conquest of 1066. Almost all the names of these monarchs are English names that are common in other European nations, either being of biblical, Greco-Roman, or Frankish or Germanic origin. They ignore names that were popular as Scottish king names, Gaelic-derived names such as Malcolm, Kenneth, Donald, Duncan, and Macbeth. Of all the post-Norman conquest monarchs of England, there's only one name of solely Anglo-Saxon origin. Edward, from the Anglo-Saxon name Eadward. But Edward I of England wasn't the first Edward to be King of England, because they wanted to ignore the Anglo-Saxon Edward kings. But none of the other pre-Norman conquest English king names are in use. No Alfred, Edmund, Harold, Edwig, Ethelstan, Ethelred, or some of the Viking kings of England, like Sven, Canute, or Harthacnut. With all their European background and Europhilic tendencies, can we really trust the royal family when it comes to Brexit? Whether the Queen, or a future King Charles, could legally overrule the British voters and Parliament is unclear, since the UK doesn't have a written constitution, instead relying on a combination of common law rulings and several post-it notes on the fridge. The head of state, i.e. the Queen, does have the royal prerogative, and in theory does have some rights when it comes to the foreign affairs of the UK. The solution? Revolution! I'm not saying we need to guillotine every noble-blooded Englishman, but some sort of bloody regime change seems necessary to protect the rights of the British populace. But we can't expect the people themselves to rise up against their oppressors. Brits don't have guns like us Yanks do. Thus, if the Queen uses her royal prerogative to stop Brexit, Trump should intervene. Maybe he can blow up Buckingham Castle, or ask Putin to use some nerve agent to wipe out these duplicitous usurpers. Better yet, use some undetectable homeopathic poisons to get him. Although Prince Charles might be wary of that, he's a big proponent of homeopathy. Provided I am not taken out by the powers that be, I shall return. So long as I'm not imprisoned in the Tower of London. What conspiracy will I be knighting for services to the crown? Well, let me just say, wanna get high? Scared? You should be!